What's up?
Hey, I just now realized you and I have like almost matching shirts on. we put like dark, like a brown, like yeah. I don't know
we did not coordinate this, folks.
Very handsome.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just want to start this show off today with first of all, thanking anybody that either watches the YouTube channel or listens on the podcast. But I especially want to give a shout out to everybody that listens on the podcast, because in April we did have record downloads for the show.
Nice.
Now, we are still very small potatoes, but we had 155 downloads in April, and I know that is like very, very minimal for a podcast, but we're having fun doing it.
Hey,
and
it's just like running a race, baby. You got to take that first step at some point.
That's right. And it's cool, but our podcast platform that we use is it breaks down per state how many downloads per state. So in the month of April, Ohio was clearly leading the way. So shout out to
should be. Let's go, Ohio. There you go, baby.
OH.
Ohio, baby. Let's go.
So shout out to everybody in Ohio. 62 downloads in Ohio. Up second is my current home state, California, with 20 downloads.
Very nice.
Virginia, I know we have some friends of the pod in Virginia, 18 downloads. So that is the podium for downloads for Ultra Running News Network. Then we have some other states in the mix. Illinois with 6, Massachusetts, New York, each with 5, Colorado, Minnesota, Vermont, each with 4, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Nevada, New Hampshire, each with 3, Indiana, Texas with 2, Alabama, Idaho, Kentucky with 1. This is for the month of April. So my challenge, let's do a friendly.
Let's call it challenge. Challenge.
All right. Let's do a friendly little challenge here. If you enjoy the show, please maybe just mention it to your friends, mention it to your running group if you want. You don't have to, but
no, you do. You got to. You have to.
It's mandatory. It's mandatory. It's the cost of listening to the show. But we want to see if any states can increase their numbers, get on the podium, or even catch Ohio.
Let's see if anyone. Yes, I want. That is the big one right there. I want to see if anyone can catch Ohio.
Yeah,
because I don't think anyone can. Like I got faith in my Ohio peeps.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I wanted to mention about that. But yes, thanks again to everyone listening out there. We do appreciate it. But we have a ton to talk about today. This is a loaded show, people.
Big week.
Yes, it is. Let's get right into one of the main headlines here. All hail Courtney Dauwalter.
Holy cow.
The queen of ultras.
It just does not stop, man. It just does not stop. New year and just dominating right off the rip.
Yep. She already won Trans Gran Canaria. And now she wins Mount Fuji 100. Okay. And Mount Fuji, and both these races are part of the Gran Canaria World Trail Majors. And so if Courtney, hangs on throughout the end of the season as first place in the World Trail Majors for that, I think there's some pretty decent prize money. I think it was 12,000 euros or something like that. But, I mean, it's I'm sure anything helps, being a sponsored ultra runner. I can't imagine you're killing it, but you're probably doing okay. So any, prize money would definitely help, I'm sure. So Mount Fuji 100, let's talk about that. It was live streamed, and, on our last show, I was saying, it's going to be this weekend. Well, I didn't really realize they're like 16 hours ahead in Japan. And it was a midnight start, I believe, on Friday morning Japan time. So
yeah.
So Thursday early morning Pacific time, I believe, is when the race started, and so this is the 10th running of this race. It is under a new name. I can't remember what it was before, but now it's Mount Fuji 100, which to me makes the most sense. It just runs around the foothills of Mount Fuji. And this is a stat that blows me away. 2,400 runners started the 100 miler. And then there was an additional 1,000 runners that did I don't know what the other event was, 100K maybe. So there is just a ton of people doing this race. And of course, Courtney just destroys the field. Like, it wasn't even close. The second place female was, I think, over 4 hours behind her.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's hard to wrap your head around, like, another woman even coming closer. I mean, she's like wrecking dudes. You know what I mean? Like, she's wrecking, like, I mean, like, spoiler alert, you know what I mean? Like, she took third and basically had second in the bag, it sounds like, if she really wanted it. You know, it depends on who you want to believe on the story, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, like, holy hell. Osaka, which I don't know, I'm assuming Osaka is in the same time zone as where Mount Fuji would be. They're 13 hours in front of us. So, like, right now here in Ohio, right?
Yes.
It's 9:28 at night. Osaka is 10:28 a.m. Thursday. So they're 13 hours in front of us.
Yep,
so
that's right.
And 10 hours in front of you then.
It's 16 for me.
Oh, so that's right. 16 for you. Yeah. You're going that way. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So it is kind of a funny thing that you're talking about. Like, I mean, I will fully admit, like, it's one of those things where, like, I woke up, you know, and I'm sitting there doing some work stuff, and, like, Chaz, Ronnie, and Pete, and these guys are like watching the live stream. I'm like, what are we going on about? And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, it's before you even, I kind of realize it's going on. Mm-hmm. Courtney's damn near winning the thing. It's over. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, super cool. Yeah. I mean, there's just nothing she can't do. I mean, so she did start picking off the top guys throughout the race, and she caught up to the second place male with 20 kilometers to go. She ended up losing to him by a mere 30 seconds. And the two of them were only like 11 minutes behind the first place runner. Mm-hmm. So out of 2,400 runners, she was that close to first place overall. And like I said, 30-second difference between her and second place. Now, I was reading this article and this is kind of weird. I don't know if you know how much truth is to this or not, but the second place finisher, he said he acknowledged that Courtney is his senior in the sport, and he believes that she allowed him to beat her out of respect. He says, when she caught up to me, I had no energy left, but I thought I would try to stay with her until the end to learn from her. I think she could have passed me and finished, but she respected my pride and let me go ahead. I appreciate her consideration.
What's weird is I got bad news for that dude. I mean, I don't know if it's good news or bad news. I guess it's like but like, she didn't let him. Courtney. No, I don't think that's how Courtney gets down. You know what I mean? Like, I I think the dude was just able to hang in there. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. I don't see Courtney be like, no, it's cool. Go ahead. Like, I think Courtney is like, no, I'm going to take this. Like,
like as as nice as she is, and she is a very nice person. I've heard her on dozens of podcasts, and she is just the most down to earth, humble. She's got that Midwest modesty. She never talks about herself, but you're not that good of an ultra runner, or that good of an athlete, period. Unless you have some competitive drive, or you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know.
I get the sneaking suspicion that like she was just running her race, and she was like, I don't know. I feel like she was just doing her, and that's just how the cookie crumbled, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's the story I'm going to believe, at least. I don't know.
And by the way, this race has over 23,000 feet of climbing, and the first place male, Guomin Dang, finished in 19 hours and 21 minutes. And then let's see, the second place was 11 minutes behind him. So 19 hours and 32 minutes. And then Courtney was 30 seconds behind him. So just very cool. Congrats to Courtney. I mean, truly incredible.
Like, it's just an absolutely wild stat. Like the part that's really, really, really impressive. I mean, other than the fact that she took third overall, and it was like a minute, like not even a full minute, like was like 30 seconds behind second. Like, that's cool. That's really, really cool. But what's really cool is the fact that second place woman was 4 flipping hours behind Courtney.
Yeah.
How about third place female? How about the third place woman? She was 7 hours behind her. 7 hours. That's
incredible.
Bonkers. That is bonkers. And like, oh, by the way, these are both runners from. Second place woman is from Japan. Third place woman is from Hong Kong. So I mean, they are. I mean, like, they're. It doesn't make sense. Like, it's absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. She is just. I am a forever fanboy of Courtney Dauwalter. I can't wrap my head around what I find out about her that makes me stop loving her. It's got to be something crazy for me. Like, you know what? I don't like her anymore. Like, it's got to be nuts. Like, it's just crazy dominance.
No, she's just all around great person, great runner. Like couldn't happen to a better person to just be, tearing it up. And I actually was incorrect in the first place finishing time, because Courtney finished in 19 hours and 21 minutes. The first place finisher was 19:10, and second place was 19:20. So, all right. Well, I think next up for Courtney is Hard Rock. So she's got let's see, May, June. She's got pretty much 2 months before she needs to start tapering. So
yeah, and she's being soft this year, not running Western States before Hard Rock.
Yeah, she's gonna give somebody else a chance at Western States.
It's wild, right? Like it's now like it's Courtney is the ultra running world's version of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like, back when Tiger was Tiger on the golf course, it was like, okay, are you going to bet Tiger or are you going to bet the field?
Mm-hmm.
And like the wild thing is, people are like, give me Tiger.
Yeah.
If Courtney is in the event, you're like, God, give me Courtney for the women.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
without a doubt.
You're not taking the field against Courtney. It's remarkable. It is remarkable. Yeah. So it is kind of funny that like it's the year that she does to go to Western States, and someone's like, "Oh, sweet, I'll be able to get me a cougar." You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, dope.
Right. Something would have to go majorly wrong.
Yeah.
For her not to get first in a race. Okay, awesome. Way to go, Courtney. Let's move on to the other big story over the weekend. And this was the last golden ticket race. And that's Canyons 100K. So Canyons takes place where Western States takes place, like where the second half of Western States takes place. And this race, used to be run by just one guy named Chaz, but he ended up selling the race to UTMB, and UTMB has kind of turned it into this big event like UTMB races are, like in the city of Auburn, they have like this huge like hoopla, and I mean, it's kind of cool to see that at a race in the United States, but I will say I ran it under the previous leadership, and it was a very cool, like low key but high competition race.
Down to earth.
Yeah, and it started before I ran it, it used to be like a double out and back from Forest Hill, I believe. But the year I ran it, it was the first major course change where we started in Auburn and we ran in reverse of the Western States course, all the way up to like Deadwood, and then even more of a climb up to China Wall. And it was, I think, 15,000 feet of climbing maybe, and like 12,000 feet of descent. Well, now they reversed the course. And last year they had the fires, they had to do some alternate course. They couldn't even go up by like Michigan Bluff or Deadwood or anything. So now they have the course that they want. And now it runs in more of a direction like Western States course does. They start up at China Wall and they go down and in reverse. And they even have looks like an out and back now on the Devil's Thumb climb. So
of course they do.
But since it's going the other way, it's net downhill, just like Western States. I think there's like 17,000 feet of downhill and maybe like 13,000 feet of climbing. The competition at Canyons 100K is just insane. Like it has to be, some of the best, like the best in the world over the weekend. People are gunning for the golden ticket. Like I said, it's the last golden ticket race. There's 2 golden tickets available for the men and 2 golden tickets available for the women. And let's see, the winner of the men for the 100K was Rod Farvard. And Rod, that's Rod there crossing the finish line. He's got, those big sunglasses on. Yeah. He's got the mustache. And I was thinking, like, what was the name of the guy in Super Troopers? Was it like something?
It was Farvara. Yeah. Damn it, Farvara. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. But no, Rod Farvara just went beast mode. But there was, the competition. Adam Peterman is on his comeback tour right now. He was in it. Peter Engdahl, who's he's from Sweden. He lives in Norway. Super strong runner. And Tim Tolfson was in it. Matt Seidel, he's the dude that ran the Boston Marathon in the banana suit.
Yeah.
He's super fast. He's from the Bay Area. So it was just loaded. Oh, Drew Holman. Drew Holman
took second.
Yeah. So Rod Farvard first, Drew Holman second, Peter Eggendahl third. And I guess the pack was pretty tight for the first half of the race. It said a driver's flat, which was 76K in to the 100K. Farvard held tight to his small but solid lead, passing through in 6 hours and 33 minutes. Holman had moved into second place, 3 minutes behind the lead, and Kirsch was right there, although 30 seconds off Holman. For the race's final quarter, Farvard added bits of distance between him and the second place, passing through the final two aid stations. And this is the race results from I Run Far that I'm looking at here. So anyway, it looks like, the last quarter of the race, he just kind of started inching out and taking it. And then the ladies' race also had insane competition. Okay, Katie Scheid, who is one of the best ultra runners in the world, former winner of UTMB. She's American, living in France. I think she had didn't she have another win this year? I can't remember. But she ended up getting first. And her lead, she got out to a lead early, and she didn't look back. She was second at Western States last year. So since she was in the top 10 at Western States, she's automatically into Western States if she wants it, which I believe she is. So then the golden tickets go down to second and third place if they want them. And second place was MK Sullivan. And then third place, MK is from Reno, Nevada, and Anna Cautious, a San Francisco resident. She got third for the ladies, and they both accepted the golden tickets.
The hand-me-downs. Well, one's a hand-me-down, but yeah.
But I would say that Katie Scheid is probably the favorite to win Western States now, since Courtney's not running. She got second last year, but anything can happen at Western States, man.
I think when we get close to Western States, I think it's going to be interesting to see from the women who all do decide to go. I want to see if there's one woman that's out there. I want to see if she enters. And if she does, I think you'd be crazy to bet against her right now. But
are you going to reveal this, or are you going to wait?
This is my tease. This is the long tease. We'll hold on to this.
The long tease.
It's the long tease. So.
Very good. Very good. So very competitive races at Canyons. So at Canyons, they also have a 100-miler. And this year, the winner of Canyons 100 was none other than Canyon Woodward. So Canyon
wins Canyon.
That's right. Canyon wins Canyons. Let's see here. That's the 50K. Okay, here we are. Okay, so Canyon Woodward won, and this is only the second year they've done the 100-mile race. The 100-mile race at Canyons is relatively new. This was the second year that they did it. And second place was Nicholas Lightbody in 19 hours and 14 minutes. Canyons time was 18 hours and 54 minutes. And then the female winner was Elena Horton in 21 hours, 35 minutes. She was 8th overall. And Jackie Menard claimed second in 22 hours and 35 minutes. So congrats to everybody that ran out at Canyons. There was a 50K too. Eli Hemming, first place, 3 hours, 25 minutes. And in the women's race, Danny Moreno took the win, 3 hours, 52 minutes. So, all right. Moving on. Oh, one thing I want to say about canyons too. Last year was like a freakish hot race, and usually in April, late April in the Auburn area, it's usually like pretty mild, but you're like really on the verge at that point of getting into hot weather. So you can sometimes get, a super hot day. And last year they had temperatures like in the 100 or like in the 90s, I think. It was hot. Rom ran the 100K last year, and it was a scorcher. But this year they even had rain Friday night at the start of the 100-miler. That's like a 6 p.m. start or something. And then for the 100K, it was like, I think, overcast and like perfect racing conditions. So
yeah, I saw they had like really mild, like nice and like, that rain stamped on all the dust. There's probably just like people should have been blazing.
Yeah, that helps, man, because boy, that dust really gets you coughing and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like the stone dust up in like Tahoe.
Yeah.
That stuff is so fine that it just floats in the air when runners go through, and everybody gets. Well, you were there. You ran the 200.
You've been there.
Did you get the Tahoe cough?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like you just have like this constant, persistent, like dry, kind of like nasty cough. The boogers you have are just like absolute boulders. I mean, you're like, it's wild. It is wild how. I mean, it's exactly what you're describing. It's just arid and like it's real fine, misty dust that just kind of lingers everywhere. And you come in, it's in your eyebrows. Like you can see, like I mean, obviously I have a full beard, but like if you have peach fuzz on your face, you can see it. Like the peach fuzz, it is everywhere. It sucks. Oh, the pictures we have of the van, that they drove around crewing me for those days.
Oh,
you can literally write on the side of the van just with all the dust. So.
Oh man. Yeah,
it is. It's a mess. It's a mess.
That's the one negative thing about the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know me and Sean and Ram and our other friend Pancho ran the canyons, or not canyons, Castle Peak 100K in 2021, and it was that fine dust, but there was wildfire smoke was kind of bad in the area, and it was borderline not good for breathing. Like it was hovering around 150 AQI, and I have asthma, so I wore a N95 mask with a valve for that whole race. Like it was crazy, man, but it really helped with the dust.
Yeah,
and those guys were all hacking along after, and I was just like, I don't
know what this problem is. Yeah.
I mean, it sucked wearing that thing, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So golden tickets were dished out. Rod Farvard and Drew Holman, they're going to be in states. So, okay, next up, let's see.
Old school race, right? Or a low key race, right?
Yeah. So,
Zane Grey?
Zane Grey. Zane Grey was one of AJW's under the radar races that we talked about in one of the episodes, and Julie Henk won for the women in 12 hours. And this is a 50 mile, I believe. And Nick Curry, Jamil's brother,
that dude,
he racks up another win. Like
he's starting to put together some work, man.
I think he's won like 3 or 4 races this year.
How much younger is he than Jamil?
Is he? Yeah, I don't know if he's that much younger. That's a great
I'm
question.
gonna have to look him up because the reason I ask, like, I'm just kind of curious, like, is he at the beginning of his career, right? Like, is he kind of like, is he a dude that are like, okay, here in the next couple years, we're going to start seeing more and more and more of him, or it's just like, or I mean, again, to his credit, is he kind of catching lightning in a bottle right now? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of curious.
Well, he's been a great runner for. I mean, he's been doing. Him and Jamil have both been doing ultras for many years. He's just having a good year. I think he's always competitive. He's a good flat runner, but I think he's really starting to he's run hard rock a couple years.
He ain't a newcomer.
No, he's been around forever.
I didn't realize he was as old as he is.
Yeah,
he's up there.
Yeah, he's been running.
But yeah, he's just killing it this year. It's just weird.
He is. He's having a great year. And I imagine he's probably doing hard rock again, I would imagine.
Hard rock is on the radar. Yep, he has. As a matter of fact, he's going Western States hard rock.
Oh, he's doing the double.
Yeah. So okay. He has Western States and he has hard rock. So he's knocking out both.
I'll tell you, he could compete at Western States. It's kind of made for him, really, but it's a speedy race. So
yeah, it's kind of like listen, I haven't done either one of those races, and I sure as shit have never done them back to back, right? But in a weird kind of way, because of the course and the layout of those two races, is it weird to think that it's probably, I guess what I'm saying is there's definitely harder races to do within 20 days of one another than those two. You know what I mean? Like, like I feel like they're different enough for like what they require of your body that you could probably get away with doing those two back to back and not be like absolutely wrecked. If you I don't know. I could be talking about
my running friend out here, Sean. Our correspondent, Sean.
Field correspondent. Yeah,
that's right. He did the double in 2018, and it's just I think there's only a couple weeks between the two. It's like the fourth weekend in June. Yeah. And then, it can be like 2 or 3 weeks. So really, your recovery from Western States is like your taper for hard rock, right? Yeah. So, and most people, when they do the double, I hear that they mostly train for Western States.
That makes sense. Yeah. Then you just shut it down. Like you probably run Western States, and then you spend those 2 to 3 weeks like getting
hiking.
Getting your feet back right, getting your, trying to get your endocrine system back into somewhat like a somewhat normal spot.
Yep.
And
hard rock it's a hiker course.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not a strong hiker, you probably won't do well there because the uphills are long, sustained, like you're talking like 4 to 5 mile, 4,000 foot climbs.
Right. It's like I think like Western States, you're going to destroy your quads. Like Western States, your quads are going to get wrecked because it's like you had said earlier, just tonight. It's a net downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So like your quads are going to get wrecked. At hard rock, your glutes are going to get freaking destroyed. You know what I mean?
I think everything's getting destroyed. 33,000 feet. Climbing and descent.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Point taken.
Yeah. By the way, just because I'm now absolutely nerding out, Nick has 1, 2, 3 wins and 1, 2, 3 second places. So he's doing some work this year, man. He's doing some work.
He's going for it. He's going for Ultra Runner of the Year.
Yeah, he's doing some work.
But he's going to have to do a lot of work to win Western States. So,
yeah.
You know who's running Western States this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Now here comes. It is one of my dream races that is next up for us that we're going to talk about. It's one of my absolute. We were just, as a matter of fact, that it's funny. Orcas is coming up. We're going to talk about it next. When we're at Forget the PR a couple weekends ago, Drew and I can Drew. Oh gosh, I can never remember his last name. Anyways, affectionately known in Central Ohio and Ohio trail running community as Shirtless Drew.
Okay.
Shirtless Drew was hanging out at the kegs for a little while after running the 50K, and what was he rocking? An Orcas sweatshirt. He's like he was talking about it because someone was like had not heard of it before. He's giving them the rundown on, but like Orcas is like, what a race, man! Like what an absolute race to get to go run sometime.
Yeah, definitely. God, we should even look at doing one of the Orcas races next year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I definitely want to get up there. Orcas Island in Washington. There's a few races on Orcas Island, but the 50-mile event was this weekend. It was the eighth running of the 50-mile event, and both the first place male and the first place female, both set course records. Natalie Johnston in 10 hours and 6 minutes, and Richard Cook in 8 hours and 31 minutes. So.
I mean, Richard Cook was cooking.
Cook was cooking.
Cook was cooking.
He was cooking with gas.
Good God, dude! Like 8:30.
Yeah.
Like, that is blistering, man. Like that doesn't even make sense to be that fast.
Yeah, I know. It's just hard for us to imagine.
That's like golly days. That is nuts. So.
All right. The next race that we're going to look at is this funny race that I learned about right after the last episode. It's ran
right through Delaware. I didn't know.
I didn't look at the course. But so there's a 200-miler in Ohio now, but it's all road. It's all paved. There is some bike path, I think. But those of you in the Midwest are probably all know about Cedar Point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Definitely people who live in Ohio.
I mean, no, it's the roller coaster capital of the world. Anyone who's a roller coaster person knows about Cedar Point. Like that place is legit.
I mean, I grew up probably an hour and 45 minutes from Sandusky. We used to go there once a summer when I was, growing up. And so Cedar Point, it's in Sandusky, Ohio, which is in the north part of the state, where Tommy Boy's from. So this 200-miler starts. It's called Coast to Coasters, right? Because coast means Sandusky is on the coast of Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes, and the race goes from Sandusky, where Cedar Point is, to Mason, Ohio, which is where another theme park called Kings Island is. Now, Kings Island is kind of just like Cedar Point, maybe not as big, but
it's like what's funny is it's kind of like the old school version of Cedar Point. Like I remember being a kid. I grew up like in between the two of them. So like one year we go to Cedar Point, one year we go to Kings Island, and we just kind of flip flop. Some years, like on like banger years, you went to both. But I kind of sort of remember. I feel like I remember when I was a little kid, Kings Island was like actually even better than Cedar Point for a little bit. But then like Cedar Point just like took off, and like once they had the Magnum. It was over with. Like once they put that was the death knell to Kings Island.
Yeah, the tallest coaster in the world
Tallest
at that time.
That thing was insane,
dude. I remember the first time, not to derail us, but the first time I ever rode the Magnum, I was in line, scared as hell.
Oh yeah.
And while I was waiting in line, like the chain slid down, like people were
Cut loose,
people were stuck all the way up
yeah.
to the top of that first hill. They had to like come down those steps and stuff. And
what's wild
I
is
was just like, oh my God. And I'm in
steps,
line.
Yeah, and going up that thing is like going up the hill is steep. Like never, you know what I mean? Like
I know.
So, but yeah, this
good old days.
Yeah, this race like has a lot of like weird kind of things about it. Like you already mentioned, it's on road. It's almost exclusively on road. But and like you're going to like Steve Hannas, who lives here in Delaware with me, saw somebody like I said, like it came right through Delaware, like right through. And listen, it's one thing to run on roads, dude. This race had them going down State Route 42, which is like, I listen. I know if you're not from Central Ohio, you don't know, but State Route 42 is a 55 mile per hour state route. It's a 2-lane road, and I am not shitting you. If you do 55 miles per hour on that thing, you will get ran over. Like it, semi truckers and state troopers are flipping you off, driving by you at like 70 for doing 55. Like it is nuts. Like it is absolutely bonkers how fast people drive on that road. So I cannot wrap my head around this race went down. I don't know how far down 42 it went. And I listen. I'm dumb. I ran on 42 for probably about 1.5 miles to 2 miles. I ran on because like I've connected 2 roads. Like I south and then went east on 42 and then north on another road. And even that little bit, I'm like, this is stupid. Like even I was like, God, this is the dumbest shit I've done in a minute. Now I've done it a bunch because it's a nice little 20-mile loop. But I mean, it is great. Like the liability, man, the liability of putting people on that road. And think about this, Jamie. You know where Sandusky, like think about Sandusky, like just do a drop pin and just do from Sandusky to Delaware and look how long that is. So these guys, like these folks are on their second, third day probably by the time they got to Delaware.
Just tired.
So you know they're like doing the drunk stumble out into traffic and shit. You know.
Oh my God.
Cannot. But crazy. Like I don't know. I don't know.
So and the race stops at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, which is where they filmed Shawshank Redemption.
One of the greatest movies ever.
Yeah, Andy Dufresne.
Yeah.
And so it goes from Sandusky to Mason, from Cedar Point to Kings Island, and Johnny had an idea that I think
it's a no-brainer.
Go ahead.
It's a no-brainer. I don't understand why it's part of
the race. They need to enhance the race, and this is how they're going to do it.
All right. So first off, like, all right, your admission into the race should cover the following. Right, the race director needs to get in touch with the PR folks for both parks, and when they say go, you should be able to jump on a roller coaster on Cedar Point, ride the roller coaster in Cedar Point, get off, pick up your gear, and start your race. Your race does not stop until you get on a roller coaster in Kings Island and ride that roller coaster, and then when you get off, you go to the finish line, then your race stop. I feel like the race should start with like, okay, you're going to ride the Magnum here at Cedar Point, and then you run to Kings Island, and then you ride, I don't know. Well, the Beast isn't down there anymore, but they used to have the Beast, right?
That's right. That was the main one,
That son of a bitch would beat you to death. Dude.
Hell yeah, wooden roller coaster.
Wood. Oh, it was wood. Oh,
old school wood.
It would just beat you to hell. But they had the Vortex. I think they had the Vortex down there. I think the Vortex is still there. So, all right. So then you have to ride the Vortex down there. But like, work out the logistics. So if you're one of the runners, right? Yeah. Like, have a little spot that you drop your gear, but then you go to the roller coaster. You get to pass everybody in line. Like, hey, like runner. You get to pass everybody. You go right to the front. You get right onto the next train. You get to go. You come off, and that's the end of your race. Like the finish line, the starting line and the finish line should be at roller coasters. That would be dope. Could you imagine having to sit in a roller coaster seat after 200 miles? Like,
I love it. I love it.
The pain, the absolute pain.
Somebody listening to this has to know this race director.
Oh, this would be amazing.
Please reach out to him.
So I wonder. So a handful of years ago, and I don't know if this is the same race director or not. A handful of years ago. Scott Wolf.
Yeah, that race that goes up. Yeah.
Yep. He ran that 100-miler that went from like a river, a city on the river.
Wasn't it like Wheeling, West Virginia, up to?
Yeah. It started somewhere on the river, and it ran all the way to like Lake Geneva or somewhere stupid like that, like some godforsaken spot up in
100 miles.
Oh wait.
One road. It was one road, wasn't it?
It was one, like State Route 16 or some bullshit like that. And Scott Wolf to this day is like that was but look at this right. Scott Wolf said it was easily the most dangerous thing. He's like, dude, people were blowing by us. Like he said they almost got hit multiple times. No. But anywho, like it's gotta be the same RD. It's gotta be. But this race looks just like, oh wait, what's the buckle look like? This better be a dope ass buckle.
Oh yeah.
Not worth it.
Dude,
wait, that buckle? It looks like it's an old reformatory.
Is that's the prison?
Yeah. Why is the buckle of the reformatory?
And there's roller coasters in the background.
Oh, there is a roller coaster background. Yeah.
Oh, and then there's the.
There's the fake Eiffel Tower. Oh, so okay. So I bet the roller coaster is supposed to be.
Millennium
Cedar Point. I bet that's supposed to be Cedar Point.
Yeah.
Then you have the prison, and then you have the fake Eiffel Tower for Kings Island.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can do the race two.
That guy was correct.
You can do the race, two ways. You can run it crewed or uncrewed, and I think the uncrewed division
There was State Route 42.
That?
Where what? Nope. I saw a sign that said 42.
Oh,
right there.
Oh, that's not. There's no shoulder at all, man.
There's no. As a matter of fact, what's wild is I know exactly where it's at because I recognize that. I recognize that building behind them. Dude, I'm telling you, it's wild. No one got hit on that stretch of road.
Yeah.
Wild.
So my only experience of running on a highway like that during a race was in Canada during Fat Dog. There was just like a 1.5 mile stretch where you had to get on this highway, and they made us wear reflective vests because it was at night.
Yeah,
but man, the semis just barreling down, and I'm just like, and we had like a decent shoulder, but I was still just freaked out. Like I couldn't imagine. Like I love the concept of this race. I do. I love it.
I mean, listen. I've done one 200 miler. I could probably be persuaded to do another. Here's my thing. Here's my honest thing. Is this race? I weirdly think would be oddly enjoyable to do uncrewed.
Yeah.
And here's why. There's enough spots if you just had like your credit card with you.
Yeah.
There's enough spots that you can hit and like there's gas stations. I mean, fuck it. There's McDonald's down through there. You know what I'm saying? Like stop and hit Mickey D's.
Hash browns.
It'd be weirdly fun to do it uncrewed and just do it like 3 or 4 folks. And I mean, just kind of like take your time and fiddle fart around and shuffle here and there. And like, I don't know what the time limit on it is. But
it's
like
6 days.
I mean, 6 days on that, dude, that's eternity. I mean, it's not, and there's not a lot of elevation gain or anything like that. Oh,
I mean,
there's no elevation change.
It's all paved or bike trail. I mean, it's not going to take 6 days.
No, you know what's kind of funny is where the most elevation is up there by Mansfield. You know what I'm saying? Up there by the prison because you're up in that Richland County area where Mo kind of sort of is.
That's right.
Like depending on how you kind of skirt that area.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get some. I mean, hills, big hills, but I mean, nothing that's going to wreck you. I mean, nothing that you even have to focus on getting up. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, this is bullshit, but you're up and down it.
So you want to know the interesting thing? The first, so like so the results are not posted yet.
Right.
But there, on Facebook they had who was finishing first and all that. The first 4 finishers were all uncrewed. So the uncrewed runners, that I think they get hotels. I don't remember where the race description went. But the first 4 runners, they get like hotels, I think. But if you're crewed, you don't get hotels, or maybe it's just not included in the fee or whatever. But yeah, so the first place male was a guy named Addison, and I didn't catch his last name. And then Lindsay Sutman was first for the women. They were both uncrewed.
That is interesting. I wonder if that's just like a level of like they're just like straight up better runners, or if that's like a weird thing of like the folks who are crewed are like kind of like what I don't know. Have we talked about this on any of our episodes? Where like if you have a pacer, sometimes you do a little bit more whining than what you probably would normally do, right? Because there's someone there to whine to.
That's right.
As opposed, if you don't use a pacer, then it's like I just look like a nut job out here talking to myself, even more so a nut job. So you just shut up and you just keep going. I wonder if like there's a level of that where like the crewed folks, like, oh, you look pretty rough, and if you're not crewed, you're like, fuck, no one's out here to tell me how bad I look. So I'm just like, keep it on.
Yeah, and you don't have reason to like sit around anywhere.
Yeah.
If you have a crew, you're like, oh, there's my crew. I'm gonna hang out in the van. I'm gonna eat. We're gonna take a nap and do all this stuff. Dude, if you're uncrewed,
take a nap.
You have nothing to do. You're just gonna move forward if you don't have a crew.
Yeah. Man, this race looks just diabolical, boy.
First of all, I love the idea, but I couldn't. I wouldn't like being on these highways. They said that the race director I did see on Facebook said that he is going to do a course change next year, and I'm wondering if that is going to be that skirting around that highway 42 or whatever.
Hold up. Don't we know that? Hold up. Go to this the Facebook page and go to like the about. Go to the about on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And go down to the photos and just start kind of clicking through them. There is a photo. I swear we know this dude. Hold on. There's a photo of a nighttime finish with like the tower behind them, with a lit up tower behind them. Couple more. There. Do we know that dude? The tall white guy?
God, I don't know.
By the way, this is riveting podcasting right here. By the way.
We thought we were doing good with podcast downloads. I think we just lost like all 20 downloads.
I'm pretty sure we know him, but anywho.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of sort of in on this race.
Okay.
This race might be just what the doctor ordered for next year.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to go through the first night. I don't, you know what I mean? If I'm doing this race, I'm going to try to at least put in 100 miles before I sleep.
Oh, shit, yeah. Yeah, on this race? Yeah, dude. Like you knock out the first, for absolutely sure. Like you knock out the first 100, and I mean,
and I think it's on pavement. You could probably do 120, 25, 24, 25 hours. I don't know.
I mean, I'm a little slower than you, so I was thinking 28 to 30. But yeah, I mean, mid to high 20s.
Yeah.
Take like a couple hour nap, wake up, bust out another shit. If you want to be nice to yourself, just bust out another 50 miles, right? Yeah. Let that take another 20 hours if you wanted to. Do a 20-hour 50 miler.
Yeah.
Lay down, take another nap, however long, wake up, knock out the next 50 miles. Dude, you're done in a little over 3 days.
That might be, yeah. I think I can't wait to see the results because I think first place. I don't think it was I think it was Sunday afternoon. I don't know when they started. Maybe Friday.
I bet first place knocked this thing out in. I bet when we see the results, I bet first place did this in 4:48. I would say, I bet 48 hours. 48 hours plus or minus a couple hours.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I always said the only 100-mile paved race that I would do is that one in New York City that starts and ends in Times Square, and it goes through all 5 boroughs. It's similar to this one.
Yeah,
but it's just half the distance. But I don't know, man. Pavement beats me up, dude. So I don't know.
I mean, but you're not you're going so slow. You're not gonna get beat up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's move on. Everybody's probably bored of us talking about coast to coaster. Even it's just random race that we just spent a half hour on.
Yeah, just rambling on about it.
It's cool though. It's cool. I like the concept. And the guy. Well, last thing I'll say about it, the guy was the race director. He said he was driving from Kings Island to Cedar Point or something like that, and he was like, this would be cool for a race, the route he took or whatever. So
it's crazy.
But all right. So one thing I'll just mention really quick. I did hear there was some brumbling going on at a Yeti race over the weekend without AF marathoner. So Costume Chick was dressed up as a prisoner at some Yeti race. She sent us a photo of some brumbling going on. AF marathoner was not there. So I don't know. I'm sure he's cool about it. Cocodona is coming up this weekend.
I mean,
Monday it starts.
Monday. So
Johnny and I were supposed to be there crewing, but our good friend he got a stress fracture, and
bad shit happens to good people, man.
Yes. What a MFer.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was going to be. But you know what? Here's the cool thing: is I know he will rehab that thing the right way. And what's weird is he'll come back when you do you've done physical therapy. When you do it, you weirdly come back even stronger. You know what I mean? He's gonna come back absolutely freakishly strong and fat, scary enough faster than what he is now. So it sucks. It sucks he had to take this half step back. It's going to shoot him forward 2 steps. He'll come back like a absolute monster next year.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that. Heart goes out to Pete. That's just a tough break. I know he put a lot in the training and planning, but yeah, stuff does happen, and he made the right call.
But enough about Pete. Let's talk about the real runners in this race. There are some absolute. Let's talk about the people who's going to run this 250. This thing is chock full with monsters.
This is potentially maybe the most competitive 200 plus mile race that we've seen.
Absolutely.
We got String Bean, Joe McConaughey, who has just been tearing it up all over the place. He's the highest ranked runner in Cocodona, which starts Monday. I think I mentioned. I'm not familiar with Geraldas Sabertas from Alaska, but he's the second highest ranked. And then third and fourth highest ranked are two Ohio boys. We got Arlen Glick, who's really been tearing it up the last couple of years, newcomer on the scene. And then we have veteran Chad Trumbo from Columbus.
Yes, by the way, two of the nicest MFers you'll ever meet in your life. like poor Pete. It's probably going to listen to this episode like, these sons of bitches keep talking about it. Pete was out at one of the training runs and said Arlen was just like the nicest, like sat and like kicked it with Pete and was like, oh man, yeah, you're from hot. And like they talked about this, Arlen's from up around the Mansfield, Ashland kind of area. And Pete grew up in Ashland. And so Ashland or Asheville? Ashland. Grew up around that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So they talked about that. So like that, Arlen, super great dude. Has the record correct for like fastest time at Olmsted or something like that.
Yes, he does.
So
he went sub 13 at Olmsted.
He has that now. Chad Trumbo. I mean, like if we just think back about last week's or a week before last week's episode when we talked about forget the PR. I mean, I know it's a 50K, it's a 50K versus a 250 miler. But if we look back on that conversation, we look and see who held a couple of those records for fastest times. It's your boy Trumbo, and that dude can effing get it. He is a fast little shit. By the way, again, one of the nicest dudes ever. This is the first year I can remember a long time not seeing him at forget the PR, him and his family. So maybe this could very well be why. But I absolutely love it. Makes me giddy to see two Ohio boys on there in the top 4, but in the top 5. Like, just love it.
Yeah,
love it.
It's and it's Aravaipa, and it's going to be live streamed for 5 days. So it's going to be awesome to follow this race. Bronco Billy, Jeff Browning, he's up there. He has had a hell of a training block. I mean, I follow him on Instagram. He seems like he's just in top shape. That's what him and Arlen have been doing, a lot of training runs together, actually. And that's what Pete said. Like they did that 37-mile, the first section, and Arlen and Jeff Browning were like done in like 9 hours, and they were drinking beer and eating burgers. Like, Pete comes in like 14, 13, whatever hours. Or maybe it was even, I don't know. I probably got those times all messed up. But you get the point. Michael Versteeg, I think he won the first Cocodona 250. He's from Prescott. He's from that area. Bronco Billy's also he's from Flagstaff, so he's running the course all over. Michael Versteeg, he's Whiskey Man. Everybody, if you don't know who Michael Versteeg is, go on YouTube and just do a search for Michael Versteeg Whiskey Man and watch that documentary, because you will be rooting for this guy because he's just awesome. Jeff Garmeyer, another big name. And then for the ladies, we have Susie Steven from Tucson. I'm not familiar with Susie, but she's got a 97.6% ultra sign-up ranking. And then we have another lady that's been just tearing it up this year. Another one, Ashley Paulson. So it'll be real interesting to see what she does out there. She's won Badwater outright. She won Antelope Canyon 100 this year. She's won a few races this year already. So it'll be interesting to see what she does. Eliza, go ahead.
Paulson, she's really big into like like she's not into CrossFit, but like she does a ton of like she goes above and beyond on the strength training, right? Like she's like really into strength training and stuff like that, correct?
I believe so.
I think so. I mean, at this level,
she came from like the triathlon world,
yeah.
I think.
I think that her like stronger, so like her being a stronger person, man, I think that it's going to just absolutely set her up for a ton of success in this race.
Yeah,
she's my odds in favorite for women.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. I think so. I think she'll be right up there in the mix. Even with the guys, I mean, she's just really been crushing it. Eliza Lapierre is another big name, so she'll be right there too. I think Liz Canty. She's from I think she used to live in like Georgia or something, but she lives in Colorado now, and she used to win a lot of races on the East Coast. Funny story, like when Chaz and I did that Dark Sky 50 the one year, he had his camper set up, and we were standing in the driveway of the camp spot across from his, and these people were trying to back in, and we were standing in their way like idiots, and wasn't even paying attention. He had to get out and ask us to move. It was Liz Canty and her boyfriend, her husband or boyfriend, partner.
I feel like I remember him. I feel like she ended up being pretty chill, right? Like they ended up being a really chill couple, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally chill, like super cool. Yeah. So good luck to her. And she hasn't raced much since they moved out there. So now I see Pete Kostelnick in here, but
I saw that too.
He's rehabbing from a car accident, right?
Like horrific car accident too. I mean, this has got to be a DNS, right? Like this has got to be where he was signed up well before the car accident.
But it says Flagstaff.
He did move out. He moved out. Yeah, he moved out. He doesn't live up in. He was living up in Wadsworth forever today. He's originally from North. Yeah, he's from Wadsworth, Ohio originally. He moved out there quite a few years, maybe a couple years ago, I believe.
Okay, so, he hasn't raced since June 16th of 2023. So
yeah. Well, yeah, that'd probably be right because the car accident that he was in was while he was out in Colorado getting ready to cruise somebody for either Hard Rock or Leadville, one or the other.
Oh.
Okay. And so it happened. That's the time of year it happened. So I can't remember which race it was.
Yep.
I'm looking at Liz Canty's ultra sign up now just to like kind of gauge like. Okay.
I don't think she's done much racing in the last couple of years.
Yeah, she ran 100K, never summer 100K last July.
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing, like what kind of running she used to do, she took 19th overall.
Yeah. I just heard her on a podcast, on Adventure Jogger podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pretty good episode. Andrew Glaze is running. He's running races every weekend. But.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that dude probably is at this point, it'd be interesting. I wonder if when you have that much of a social media platform, do you pay for your races?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
He might make enough off his social media to pay for his races.
You think so?
Yeah, he's got a big following.
He does have a big following. It'd be interesting to see if because what's kind of interesting is it would obviously, and I mean listen, he's not going and running mom pa races, right? Like he's running like pretty well known races, so you probably don't need his help. But still, I mean, like it's definitely a mutually beneficial thing when he shows up and like does a TikTok and it gets like a couple 100,000 views. You know what I'm saying? Like no race, like no. We don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it's very possible he might get some race entries comped.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. West Plate, this guy from Washington, he's a YouTuber. He makes really, really great videos of races. I highly recommend people go check him out on YouTube. In fact, he did Cocodona. I believe it was he's done Cocodona a couple times, but his video, the last video he did of Cocodona, is a really great video. Like if you want to like get a feel for the Cocodona course, go watch West Plate's YouTube video of the last one he did. It's great. All right. Well, we're kind of up against it on time. Let's just maybe do a Laz update. Oops. So, as we mentioned in the last episode, there hasn't been too much in the way of Laz updates since Jared Beasley stopped crewing for him. But there was a tweet on yesterday, the 30th, that Laz is in Ohio.
Yeah, boy.
I don't know where this is at, but I think he's going across south of Columbus, I think.
Yeah.
The last one he went like through like Cleveland and like Toledo. But this time I believe he's south of Columbus, somewhere between Columbus and Cincinnati. But anyways, there he is. He's in Ohio, folks. Maybe search it out, see if you can find him.
I mean, as we've talked about, Ohio, biggest group of listeners so far. So
that's right.
There's anyone to call to action.
That's
Ohio
right,
folks.
All right. So just want to maybe close this show out just saying one of the old school ultra races happened on the 13th, the Ultra Running Magazine's Old School Ultras, and that was one that Gary Robbins is a co-race director of in British Columbia, the Diaz Vista 50K. They had some super hot temperatures. And the reason I'm bringing up the Old School Ultras is because there's two of them this weekend. One of them is Laz's race, Sterling Gym, 40-miler in Tennessee, paved, 2,300 feet of climbing, rolling paved roads in Tennessee. That race has been going on since like 79 or 80, like a long time. And then Miwok 100K, which is probably one of the most well-known 100Ks in the United States, I would say. And that's here in the Bay Area, right over in the Marin Headlands and Mount Tam. There's like 11,500 feet of climb in that race and a 15.5-hour cutoff. So it's a pretty strict cutoff. It is a Western States qualifier, but strict cutoff. So so those old school races are going on. But we're over time. So I think we're gonna maybe cut it there, unless you had anything else, Johnny.
I don't. Same as always. Really appreciate everyone giving us a listen. If you are one of those fine listeners that's been, giving us attention and giving us a, follow and all that kind of stuff, please pass this along to your running friends or, the group that you run with or anyone else that you want to, torture and make listen to us. Hit us up for stickers. We have some stickers to pass out. We gave away a bunch of them at Forget the PR. Have a few more to hand out, but if you're listening to us, and you'd like a sticker, shoot us your address. I can send them out to you. Give us a like, give us a listen, give us a review on the podcast system that you listen to us on. But yeah, all that good fun stuff. I appreciate everybody, and talk to you all next week.
Yep, well said. If you do send us your address, you can do it through the DMs. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook page. Instagram DM is probably the best place. In the show notes, we put our email address. So plenty of contact information. But yeah, give us a like, subscribe, rate the podcast, whatever, all that cliche stuff. We don't really care. We're having fun.
All right. Thanks.
All right, everybody.